Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Robbie Rowe Show. My name is Robbie Rowe, and I'll be your host this evening. You are listening to the segment, If It's Fair, It's Gone, with my boy Jack Flaherty, episode 6. Now let's hear a soundbite from Jack.
You know, it's always fun to see that kind of thing, see a 97 early on in spring training, and then, you get shut down when Jordan Hicks comes in throwing 103, and you remember it's spring training.
Listening to Clear the Mechanism. The Robbie Rowe Show. The Robbie Rowe Show.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Robbie rolling on another episode of If It's Fair, It's Gone. We are on episode 6 already with my boy Jack Flaherty and I on the mics. Just give you a little brief outline of the episode. I particularly wanted to hear Jack's thoughts on his most recent his most recent outing. At the time, it was against the Phillies, at the Phillies in Clearwaters. I think it was his second, maybe third spring training outing, but he was pretty much lights out. I want to say he went 4, 9 Ks, and even flashed a 97 on the board. And to me, it looked like he was just in midseason form. So I wanted to get his thoughts on that. So we pretty much start the episode talking about that. We'll talk a little bit about his opinion on the rule changes and how he's passionate about, pretty much just keeping the game the way it is. With all these pace of play rules being set in play. Talk a little bit about his mentality in spring training, how it kind of differs, or if it does differ from regular season play. And we pretty much end the episode with a funny story from Cardinals camp on a PFP tournament. And he got, and I won't spoil in it too much, but you'll hear it in the episode. Anyways, yeah, without further ado, we'll get right to the sponsors, and then we'll get right to the show. Today's episode is sponsored by Massage Guns. Massage Guns was created for the need for affordable home therapy tools for athletes of all ages, all sports. The works. It's a gun type thing. I'm sure you guys maybe are familiar with like the Theragun and a couple other tools that basically like a gun that has a percussion and it's got a little ball at the end, and use it for obviously recovery protocols. But Massage Guns is a sponsor of the Robbie Rowe Show, and they sent me one, and I've been using it. Man, it is freaking cool. A couple of things that I want to highlight is it obviously increases blood flow, clears lactic acid, breaks up scar tissue, releases knots, increases range of motion, and it speeds up recovery. A big highlight that I want to point out is it's the fastest and the strongest percussions for a gun on the market. So you get 45 percussions per second at its top speed. Obviously, you can change the speeds. It's got 3 arm positions, 90 degrees, 135 and 180. 6 speeds to be exact, ranging from 900 to 2700 strokes per minute. The coolest part, in my opinion, is the trigger button. It can lock. So when you're doing it on yourself, you don't have to sit there and hold the trigger button. So it's pretty freaking dope. It comes with a really cool carrying case too, so it's completely mobile. So what I can do for you guys is I can get you a little discount. MassageGuns.com. At checkout, discount code Robbie, ROBBY. Save you some money if you're interested in purchasing that for yourself or for a son, daughter, whoever, Christmas present. I guess we're not even close to Christmas, but first thing that came to mind. Anyways, I will link the website to that in the show notes. So if you want to just go into the show notes, click that, or you can just go to MassageGuns.com. Remember, discount code Robbie. All right, thanks, guys. Let's get to the episode. Alrighty then, here we go. Thanks. So we're live. Jack and I coming at you real hot again. If it's fair, it's going. So episode 6. We're on episode. Dude, we're crushing these apps, man. We're on episode 6. Jack, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. We're doing it. We got this another one going.
We're doing it. We are doing it. So speaking of doing it, man, I would say like you're kind of doing it right now in springy tea. Like I said before the show, is I do want to, like, it doesn't have to be super serious, but I do want to talk to you about it, dude, because I watched your whole outing, and even for me that's watched you for a number of years now, like that was really impressive, dude. The first thing I kind of want to ask you is, would you say you're like in mid-season form right now in spring training?
Oh man, You know what? That's interesting. I don't know about midseason form exactly. I would say that last start kind of felt like it. Like
Okay.
it definitely felt like I was in midseason form, but it was also one of those days, one of those rare days where you've got all your pitches working. I mean, like I had a strikeout with 4 different pitches that day, and I felt like it was kind of just one of those days, and I was able to take advantage of it.
Sheesh, dude. You have those days all the time, though, don't you?
No. We all know that's not true. We all know we rarely get those days where it's like, oh man, you know what? Everything is working. I can throw any pitch right here.
I wouldn't say we.
So
I would say me, but like not you.
No, I don't have those days. That does not happen.
All right, I need to talk to you about something, though, because I'm pretty sure it was in the first inning, and I don't know if Clearwater's gun was juiced, but can we talk about 97?
Yeah.
What is that? You're not supposed to do that. That's actually illegal. You get fined for that in spring training.
Yeah, so I would say that part is interesting because I usually in spring training I come out, I don't throw very hard. I feel like my effort level is the same as it always is in every start. I don't feel like I change intensity of how hard I'm throwing or how hard I'm trying to throw. But I feel like in spring training is still part of a buildup and still part of, I start to throw harder as the season goes. And, after April, I start throwing harder. But so far this spring training, my velo has been up. I've been able to reach back a little bit more. I feel like I definitely had to reach back on that day. So, I'm not sure what that is, what is caused from that. I think it's just, I tried to put in a lot of work into how my body was moving when it came to utilizing the mound. And so, it's always fun to see that kind of thing, see a 97 early on in spring training. And then, you get shut down when Jordan Hicks comes in throwing 103 and you remember it's spring training.
That's just not fair. Like, so your fine was a set amount, but his fine was like doubled for going 103, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
You go 103 in spring training and it's just, yeah, dude. Just shut it down.
That's unreal. So you're in that situation against the Phils right there. You're like, because like I said, it was like first inning, I think, but you're going, okay, wait a sec. I have a feel for all my breaking balls, and they're nasty. Oh, and one more thing, I can throw the ball really, really hard. So
yeah,
that's a pretty good thing to have. I mean,
oh yeah.
Well, your counterpart,
it's a great feeling.
Hey, dude, Nola. I'm a big fan of Aaron Nola, dude. So, like, that was, for me personally, and this is kind of, we're going to dive into this subject next, but for me, obviously being a pitcher, like, those matchups right there are so fun to watch, like, on TV or even in person. So, Jack, why are we inputting, like, all of these rule changes in baseball to where there's going to be they're trying to have more hits and more runs and more guys on base and all of that stuff? Can you explain that to me? Because I'm sure you heard the news about the Atlantic League, right?
Oh, man.
You're like, how much time do we got?
I have no freaking idea. I don't know what this whole BS is with the Atlantic League and trying, we're going to think about moving the mound back 2 feet. We're going to try an electronic strike zone. That's something that's a little bit more understanding. But, we're going to take shifts away. We're going to limit this and that. And we're going to make guys throw to 3 hitters. Like, I don't understand the changing of the actual game of baseball. Changing the mound to 60. Let's just put this into perspective. Basketball has had rule changes, right? You have the zone used to be okay, now it's not. Like you have things like that, that created more
hand
offense.
checks and like all that stuff.
Hand checks.
Yeah.
They take away all the stuff. The pass interference rules have been changed when it came to when it came to the NFL, and now there's more offense. Offense has gone up because it's so much harder to play defense. You can't really hit guys. But that was also a safety, thing. That was a safety thing. Asking pitchers to move back 2 feet. One, could be completely harmful to our arms that are so conditioned for years and years and years to throw at 60 feet, 6 inches. And then also, that's like taking the NBA and going, okay, instead of playing at a 10-foot rim, because you guys can jump higher and faster and are better athletes, we're going to play at a 12-foot rim. Like, what? Wait, what sense does that make? Let's go play at a 12-foot rim right now.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? What?
Dude, what baffles me, and I don't know if you heard this part, but they're not doing the mound move back thing until the second half of the season. So that to me is like, that's absurd, because you have all these guys conditioned for the first half while still like throwing their bullpens and preparing for their games in the first half, and then all of a sudden the second half comes around, which is maybe a 3-day break, and then you're like, oh, by the way, we just moved the mound or plate back 2 feet. Like, go get them.
So bad for those guys. I mean, like, I feel for them. Like, they're just they're guinea pigs out here, and they're trying to compare to see how guys play. Does it make a difference going 60 feet or 62? And these guys are just getting thrown in there, and somebody's gonna probably get hurt when you make an abrupt change like that.
100%.
It just doesn't,
especially like with breaking balls. Like, I can't. Yeah. I mean, I know it's 2 feet, and everyone's gonna be like, "Dude, it's only 2 feet. That's only like 2 of my feet." Oh, get it? Huh. But I mean, every little thing, like every little thing. I mean, obviously, I'm talking to a pitcher, so it's like it all matters.
Yeah. And so is raising the rim 2 feet. It's only 2 feet, but my goodness, that 2 feet makes a huge difference when it comes. Like, it's very small, but it makes a huge difference.
Wasn't it Dwight Howard in the dunk contest that did the 12-foot dunk?
On a 12-foot rim.
So that was 12 feet, right? Like, that looked freaking high. And it's probably different than, like, throwing compared to jumping.
Guys, yeah, but, guys can dunk and you can play on it, but it's like, the way you shoot the basketball is going to be different. The way you throw a ball from 60 feet versus 62 feet, the way you throw your breaking ball, where you start it, how it's going to finish, it's completely different.
So,
and now you're trying.
I just, you're right, dude. And
I don't know why they're trying to create more runs, because they are stupid and they think that, oh, we need more runs because these are the stupid things that people don't think about logically. Okay, so we want the games to be shorter, right? What are the shortest games in baseball? Usually when you get 2 pitchers dueling it out. When you get 2 starting pitchers, if it's especially 2 aces dueling it out for 7 innings, it's usually a 2.5-hour game.
Dude, that's exactly what I was going to say. Was like, what we're contradicting ourselves. In my opinion, is like you want 2 things that don't go hand in hand. So you want more excitement, which is runs, but then you want a shorter game, which is pro pitching. So
you want a 9 to 7 ball game in under 3 hours. Never happened before.
Exactly, which doesn't make sense.
Never happened. And you know what that means is you're going to be switching pitchers, which is what they don't want. But if some guy's getting rocked, a manager's not going to be like, okay, well, you know what? We're just going to stick with this guy. No, if you're getting rocked, you're going to get pulled. You're going to throw too many pitches. And so now we're going to change pitchers more because you're trying to create all these runs, and it just doesn't make sense. Okay, we want more runs, but we want the games to be shorter. Well, if you score more runs, the game's going to go longer, but somehow we're going to figure out a way where the game is shorter.
And not even to mention that, so literally all of these new rules that are being put in place, not one of them is for the player, which that kills me, because all we're doing it for, and I love the fans. Like, obviously I can't sit here on a podcast and say like I can't stand fans, but I love them. But at the same time, it's all for them. So in my opinion, Jack, and like agree with me if you want or not, but like it all comes down to, if the fan doesn't like the way the game of baseball is, then like I don't really want him as a fan if they change the game of baseball,
Exactly. And if you're a fan of baseball, you're a fan of baseball. And if you're not, like, it is what it is, but it's the same thing that I've been like just talking about forever, is like what gets people to the games, and it's stars. There's some people who come for the game. Some people come for the team. Other people come for stars. You know, some people just love the game of baseball. Some people are a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals. Some people might be a fan of a guy on the other team, or a guy on that team who happens to be going there. But the more that you have those stars that people can like and people can relate to, the more you get those random people who come and show up and be like I talk about in football all the time. Oh my gosh, I want to go see Odell Beckham Jr. play a game, and that's the. Like, you know, when the Lakers were bad for a few years, like I'm a diehard Lakers fan, always have and always will be. But it was hard to go to the games because they were really bad, and it was post Kobe depression.
Did you still go?
Yes, that is a real thing. So I would go. I would always take my brother to a game around his birthday. Who does he want to go watch? He wants to go watch his favorite player, Kevin Durant. So I would go when I would take him when they would come in town. Or I'd go watch, you know, if the Thunder came to town. So I mean, I guess KD was still there, and then he changed it while that whole thing was going on. But you know, at the time when Russ would come to town, when the Warrior would come to town, when even when LeBron would come to town before he came to LA, like you'd go, like we'd go and we'd watch him, and we were going to watch the Lakers at the same time. We were going to watch the other team because like, okay, well, I get to watch the Lakers, kind of see where they're at, but I also get to watch this guy play, and that's going to be fun.
Yeah, and NBA does a great job at marketing that too. It's like, because being a Bay Area guy, I know like with the Warriors and I think they're Comcast Sportsnet. I don't know, but they always like kind of market it in a way of like, oh hey, come watch LeBron's last game for this season in Golden State, or hey, come watch Russell Westbrook's first, like whatever it is, it's they're targeting the audience to do that. Yeah. And I think that's what kind of separates, we've talked about this, we don't have to go on and on, but I do want to stick on the subject of spring training, dude, and I want to talk about because I heard a quote from you saying about like, how some pitchers go in knowing they got a rotation spot or a spot in general, and they're kind of going in, working on stuff. What is it like for you, dude? Are you going in, like, are you just in full competition mode? Like, there's no spot for you, or is it the opposite?
So there's a few things to it, because I find it interesting where we had this conversation maybe not in the dugout, but we had this conversation in BP the other day, because you saw how Trevor Bauer threw like 50% changeups in his game the other day. Yeah. So I don't know what it was. He threw like 65 pitches,
it's just flat fastball
changeups. Yeah. Yeah, and he was out there working on stuff.
Yeah.
He was like, we don't have anybody that comes in and does that, and it's like literally would just come out and like, maybe you're working on a pitch and you are just going to throw that. Like everybody comes in and is like, okay, we're going to get guys out now. Like we're practicing getting guys out and being efficient with it. And I think there's a combo of the two. You're in Trevor Bauer's position, and he made it work. He spends so much time on that stuff where he just came in and was comfortable, knew he had a spot in the rotation, and was just throwing fastball changeup. In an ideal world, would there be a start where I would love to throw 40% changeups in order to work on it? Yeah, but it's also hard because you have to not necessarily turn off your competitive nature, but you have to understand, you have to like remind yourself, okay, you get into an 0-2 count and it's like, all right, I can, for myself, like, all right, I can throw a slider here and be in a good spot, but it's like, okay, now I gotta work on getting him out with my fastball and my changeup, and it's a completely different mindset to go about things. Where you're working on stuff, but you're always being competitive.
Right.
So I've never gone in and thought about, I'm working on something here. You're always working to get better. You may be working on a pitch, but you're working on getting better. Like, you're going to get this guy out with this. And I was asked a couple times about, you feel like, it looks like you're firmly in a rotation spot here. How does your mindset change from last year to this year? And I said, it doesn't. I said, I'm going out there competing each and every day out. I mean, I see these guys that we got around, Dakota Hudson and Gomer and Gant and all these guys that are there. Like, I don't feel like I'm firmly in a position. I said, maybe right now on the 5th day of spring training, you have me written in there in rotation. But I said, everything's written in pencil right now. I said, nothing is penned in. The only thing that was penned in at that point was that Miles was our opening day starter. I said, nothing else was written in pen. Everything else was written in pencil. And so for me, I was like, it matters right now. I'm not going out there working on stuff and walking away from, from an outing that may not go so well and be like, oh yeah, whatever, but it's just spring training. Like, no, it's always a time. Like, if I ever start thinking that way, I will never like that.
Yeah, well, that's what separates I feel like for me personally, that's what separates like the great athletes from the good athletes is like you have the ability to like never be satisfied or content in that regard. You're freaking going in and you're constantly fighting. Which is sometimes I'm sure I can't really speak from personal experience, but I'm sure sometimes like that's hard to do, especially over and over and over and over and over again, like career after career after career. But I actually want to kind of dive into that a little bit, dude, is like, what are the specific things? Because I know how you are with, always wanting to get better. Like, what are the specific things in spring ET right now that you're kind of like focusing on, whether it be a certain pitch or sequencing or, whatever it is?
I'm definitely working on, where my changeup's at and being able to throw it in different counts in different situations and just really having the confidence with it, whether it's right on right or left on left, but also having the confidence to throw anything at any point, or we get in different counts and, maybe I become a 2-pitch pitcher when I get in certain counts and trying to become, get it to a point where I can throw 3 or 4 pitches with less consequences right now. The consequences are down right now where, we actually had a conversation today where it was like, okay, you walked a guy, but it was almost like a trial and error walk, where you're working on something and you want to throw a pitch, and maybe in a game, and maybe in a situation where in a real game situation you wouldn't throw that pitch, but you want to get to that point where you are throwing it and you didn't execute it. Like, okay, you do have to deal with the consequences. Now you got a guy on first because you walked him because you threw a 3-1 changeup. Mm-hmm. But hey, maybe at some point in the season you are comfortable enough because you worked on it, and now once you execute it a couple times, in your mind you're like, oh my god, I can do this.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it brings about a different mentality.
You throw a couple 3-1 curveballs, and you're like, okay. When I get to 3-1, it's the same count for me as a 2-1. Maybe at some point in the game, you're not going to be perfect. You may not execute it, but if you have the confidence and you get yourself to not baby it, and you're throwing it at as hard as you can, just like you would, a 1-2 curveball, and you get that confidence to throw it in your mind, it just becomes ingrained in you.
Yeah, and the confidence comes from obviously success with it. And we can sit here and talk about, okay, well, what brings about success? And you talk about like throwing in a bullpen and throwing in like live BPs. But dude, that game setting where you freaking see it and like the guy at the dish reacts a certain way, that, dude, to me, that's did you see the pitch sequencing post I made on you? Right on right change?
Yeah, right on right change.
Bro, what was that? Are you going to be like what? I mean, you stuck with your same changeup grip, right? Because I know like in one of our episodes we were talking about your change. What is the mindset on your changeup?
Same one. I'm just I'm just throwing it as hard as I can.
It looks like it.
I just I'll practice just kind of flipping it isn't the right word, but I'll just pick up the ball with whatever grip and just try to pronate the heck out of it. And then, and just, playing catch. And I've really taken my first 2 days of throwing after a start and just turned it into like, hey man, like we're not going to we're not worried about mechanics. We're not worried about anything else. We're just going to be athletic. We're going to play catch, and we're going to throw from different arm angles. We're just going to, take it back to high school where, after I'd pitch, next time out I'm going to go play third base. And so I'm just, working on different arm angles, and I'm just flipping the ball in there with the changeup. And so when I get on the mound, I have one cue where I try to pull it out with my thumb down, which kind of helps me keep on top of the baseball. And so I pull it out with my thumb down and I just throw it. I've tried to get away from thinking about it too much. When I just grab it and I throw it, it's become kind of almost like every other pitch where I just grip. You get asked, well, what are you thinking on this? Well, I grip it and rip it until something gets, until I make a mistake. And once I make a mistake, I know what my adjustments are with every single pitch.
Dude, gosh, you're starting to sound like a seasoned vet, man.
No, far from it, man.
I love what you just said too about like just being athletic, dude. I remember the first podcast we did together. I think I actually named it that too. It was like, we spent like 20 minutes just talking about how we can talk all this pitching stuff and all these mechanical cues and all this, but at the end of the day, like what works for you, dude, is going out there and like be athletic. Like, I'm an athletic person. Let's freaking be athletic. Did you see my Instagram story, dude, when you made that play? Yeah, dog.
True athlete.
True. You gotta be, dude. I saw a video of Marcus Stroman playing catch, kind of like you're talking about, and he was doing all sorts of like just goofy, funky stuff, dude. But
I saw that.
It's so sick. I mean, but that's true, man. Like, just and a part of it too is like having fun with the process of being like the best version of yourself, being the best pitcher too. Is like just enjoying.
Yeah, you got to go for it.
Absolutely.
You just got to do your thing.
All right, so I want to kind of round this first part out by, I know we talked about this briefly via text, but you were a little bit upset in regards to why you got picked 6th in the PFP St. Louis Cardinals Spring ET 2019 draft. Do you want to vent or do you want to talk about that?
Oh, man. I mean, so we come in that day and we were told we have a PFP tournament. And I see the guys who are the leaders on the captains.
Who were they?
They have them listed out in order of service time. I believe there was 8 teams. So it was Waino, Waka, Andrew Miller, Jason Shreve, Dominic Leone, Brett Cecil, Michaelis.
How many teams were there?
There was 8 teams.
Oh, okay.
8 teams of 3.
At least you went in the first round.
Or 8 teams of 4. So I walk in there and I see that and I go, and I was like, I said, I'm going 1-1. I said, without question, I said, I'm going 1-1. It's okay. I said,
who had first pick?
1-1. Waino.
Okay, Waino has first pick, and that's your boy too.
And in my head, I'm like, this isn't good. Waino has first pick. I know he's going to do something. And so I said, okay, the only guys that to me I would allow to get picked in front of me, if somebody wanted to do that, would be Alex Reyes, John Gant,
of course,
Myers, who's sneaky good at PFPs,
okay,
and I believe those were the only 3 guys that I would have been okay with getting picked ahead of me. So, we go out there and Waino's talking like, I already know who I'm picking. I know who I'm picking. And I'm like, he's not picking me, this freaking guy. And so he picks Reyes. And I said, okay, understandable. He always picks Reyes first for like 5 years whenever he's got the pick. I said, okay. So Waka, or who was next? Miller or somebody was next. And they picked Ponce.
Oh, Ponce goes 1-2?
And I said, what?
Oh, man, that's got you hot.
I'm hot at this point. I'm like, you picked Ponce? And then guess what? Lefty Cecil goes Gomber. And I said, no.
Of course.
No. Love Big G, but no, that's unacceptable.
This goes back to our basketball team conversation.
And then went Gant, and then went Myers, and now we're 6, and Shreve is there, and at this point, I'm like, something's up. I said, the fact Gomber went before me, something's up. And then Shreve picked me, and the first thing Waino says is, Shreve, you caved. What the heck?
Oh.
And I said, oh, okay, I see how it is. I said, we're going to win. And we did not win. We got beat on the first one. That is the only one we actually lost. And then we lost on a technicality, and then we tied, and then we blew another team's doors off.
Wait, so how are the rules? Like, so there's 8 teams of 4, you said?
8 teams of 4.
So
everybody was spread out on the quad. Everybody was on the quad. There was 2 teams at each field, and there was a different PFP or drill that was going on there. So on one field you had ground balls that you took it short and second. On another field, the rag balls?
Yeah.
On another field they were hitting rag balls at us. And so for each one on those fields, for each one that you missed, you just counted up the number of misses.
Oh, okay.
And so we lost 6-5 to walk on the ground balls, which I was like, okay, you know what? You guys had a perfect round.
So how do you know who
Good
you're
for
going
you.
against, though? Like, how do you know what
They're on
team?
the same field as you.
Oh, okay.
They're on the same field as you. It's 10-minute stations, and then you rotate.
Mm-hmm.
And so each team works for 5 minutes, and the number of misses you have is that's the number, and the other team has to have less misses.
So it's like a round robin type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just go to each 4 fields. They split you up. They have different teams rotating to different fields. There was a pop-up one, and we lost on a technicality because we forgot to check the runner after we caught the pop-up. And I was like,
I love me a good technicality.
yeah.
Just classic spring tee.
But yeah, they said it. They agreed. They said it would be way better to watch me, be upset than it would. They said they were willing to lose just to see me get upset in order to not pick me. They said you were not supposed to be picked in the first round, and I said, you're unbelievable.
That's hilarious, dude. That's perfect. Classic. Hey, real quick before we end this, I want to talk about one thing. Actually, I just want to ask one question. I didn't even realize this, but you changed your jersey number.
Mm-hmm.
What's like the reasoning behind it? Was 22 always your number? Like growing up?
No, 9 has always been my number.
Okay, why'd you go 22? What's the story behind it?
Well, 9 is taken.
Right.
Or 9 is retired by Enos Slaughter. And
Enos Slaughter. What a name.
Yeah. And I just like 22 more than 32. It was just one of those things that, when it became available, I just liked the number 22 better than 32.
So first thing that came to mind was you switched jersey numbers from 32 to 22, which means 32, you weren't liking the Jimmer Fredette jersey number, which upsets me because you know where I stand.
I love that you go
with the Great White Hope.
I love that you go Jimmer.
22, that's the number in Love and Basketball, right?
It is? Didn't know.
Damn. Stop it. You knew that. Would you put that movie in your top 5 basketball movies?
I don't know, man. That's hard.
Are you a big Love and Basketball guy? Like, are you a fan? You have to be, right?
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Okay, I can't remember. It was like episode 1 that we talked about this, I think, and it's been so long I can't really remember. But
I don't think it would go in my top 5.
Of top 5 of basketball movies, though. Not sports, basketball.
Yeah, basketball movies.
Okay.
I don't think so.
What are the first 3 basketball movies that popped to your head right away?
Glory Road, White Men Can't Jump, and Coach Carter. First 3 ones that came to mind.
Okay, yeah, I'm the same. I go Glory Road, Coach Carter, Hoosiers.
Hoosiers, yeah.
Yeah, first 3. I don't know, dude. Love and Basketball for me was like, when that came out, because not only did it hit you in the feels, like, wow, I kind of want to meet a girl that is like her. All right, that'll do it. We'll talk soon, right? As soon as can be. Cool, man.
We'll talk soon.
All right, brother. I'll sign you off the air. Much love.
See ya.
See you, dude. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode of If It's Fair, It's Gone. Jack and I had already recorded episode 7, so that should be coming at you guys real hot within the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for that. Also, if you have not already, would highly appreciate it if you go ahead and hit subscribe to this podcast. Not just If It's Fair, It's Gone, but The Robbie Rowe Show as a separate well, I guess it's not separate. If It's Fair, It's Gone would be a separate segment to The Robbie Rowe Show. Anyways, love you guys, and you'll be hearing from me probably within the next couple days. Cool. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Bye!